Hello everyone, welcome back to Das House with Thomas Gunn. And today we're going to be making some cinnamon buns. So this recipe came to me from my mother-in-law who's from Berlin and whose father owned a bakery or had a bakery in Berlin. So I don't know if cinnamon buns are traditionally German, but why not? So the first thing we're going to need, get yourself a bowl. You're going to need half a cup of lukewarm water. Make sure it's not too hot. That's a little hot. Let's just cool that down a bit because otherwise it will kill your yeast. So I'm just going to whisk it a bit just to get rid of some of that heat. So there we go. So let's add in 1 package of yeast. This is the kind I'm using. This is not sponsored or anything. This is 8 grams. Just so you know, in case you have it in a bottle. So sprinkle that into your water. And then to that, in order to feed the yeast a little bit, we're going to put a teaspoon of sugar. Just sprinkle that in. And then this is the different ingredient, half a cup of mashed potatoes. So these are just a regular potato, no salt in the water, nothing. They were just boiled. I cut them small so they boil quicker. So they were boiled about 15-20 minutes. After they were soft, I mashed them and I let them cool. So this is half a cup. Let me just get a spoon. So, I'm going to add that, and you just want to give this a little stir. The potatoes will help feed the yeast. They also impart a nice moisture to the eventual dough. So now we're just going to let this sit and get a little bit bubbly. In the meantime, you're going to need 1/3 cup of melted butter, cooled, 1/3 cup of sugar, 2 eggs, and 1 teaspoon salt. So I'm going to get those ingredients ready for myself, and probably by the time those are ready, this will be frothy enough. We'll mix that. And then we'll make the dough. All right, hold on. Oh, you know what? Also get yourselves 3 cups of flour at the same time. All right, so that's been about 5 minutes. There's some bubbling going on, so we can continue now with the next steps. So to this, we're going to add the 1/3 cup melted butter. So I'm just going to pour that in. Now I just need to rinse out my measuring cup because I only have 1/3 cup measure, so just give me a quick second. I'm going to put some soap in there. Alright, so now we're going to add 1/3 cup of sugar. Get that in there. And we need the 2 eggs. I'm going to get those. I always use a large size. Got a piece of shell. Get that out. So that's the 2 eggs. So let's just break that up, stir everything together really quick. And you're going to need that 1 teaspoon of salt. So I'm just going to go get that. Remember the tip about salt. If you pour just into this little, into your little cup of your hand there, if you make a cup, that's roughly a teaspoon. So 1 teaspoon. I'm going to switch over to my whisk just to whisk out any pieces of mashed potato if there are any. Okay, and now we're going to add in 3 cups of flour. And that will be the dough. So, I'm using all-purpose flour. That's 2. And that's 3. So now I'm going to switch back to my wooden spoon. And I'm going to start getting that all incorporated. And then once it's all incorporated, we'll turn it out onto the counter and give it a good kneading. Oh, there's nothing like the smell of yeast for some reason. I mean the good kind of yeast. So, let me just knead it a little bit in the bowl so I can get all that flour in there. So clean out this bowl as best you can because we're going to put the dough back into this bowl for the rise. If you have a proofing oven, you can set that already. If not, you're going to want this to rise in a room temperature or and a draft-free place. Typically, some people put it on top of their fridge, but now with most fridges being built in, that doesn't really work anymore. And this is a great dough. You're going to see when we go to roll it out, it rolls out really nicely. Just going to get just a pinch of flour. Just keep kneading this until it makes a nice smooth dough. And then we're going to put it aside. Incidentally, you could actually put it in your oven. I mean, don't turn your oven on, but it's a, relatively warm, draft-free place. So just put it in the bowl once you're done kneading. Cover your bowl with either a tea towel or a paper towel. And you're going to let it rise till it's about double, which will usually takes about an hour. So there we go. I still see a little of that kind of spidery mesh. So I'm going to keep going just to get it smoother. A little bit more. So after this, you're going to want to prepare yourself. I use pie plates. So get yourself, you're going to need 2 pie plates because they do a second rise. Yeah, there we go. That's nice and smooth. In the bowl it goes. I'm going to cover that and I will put it into my oven just to keep it out of a draft. Actually, let me do that right away. I'm going to set my timer, 1 hour. So, what I use, just let me show you, I use pie plates. So that's one. I used to have another. I hope I have another, because otherwise I'm going to have to make do with something else. So in the bottom of this now, we're going to put 2 tablespoons of margarine, a 1/4 cup of corn syrup, 3/4 cups of brown sugar, a 1/4 teaspoon vanilla. So you're going to put that in here. You're going to stir it all up, use a little whisk, and then you're going to sprinkle it with some chopped nuts. You can use walnuts or pecans. I'm going to use pecans today. And you're going to do that twice because it makes enough rolls for 2 of these. Okay? So, you know what? I'm going to pause here so I can get my ingredients together and show you, and then I'll be right back. Alright guys, so I'm back. So I've already put my 2 tablespoons of margarine into each dish. Yes, margarine. And I have noticed that Germans do also use margarine. I've seen it in quite a few of the traditional recipes. So to that, we're going to add 3/4 cup of brown sugar, lightly packed. So that's 1, 2, 3 into each one. Remember, we're doing this twice. 1, 2, 3. Hope you appreciate this. I had to stand outside for a good 25 minutes today, 2 meters away from the nearest person, just to get into the grocery store. Okay. So to this, that'll give you some kind of time reference, I guess, as to when this was taped. So to this, a 1/4 cup of corn syrup. Because the buns are going to rise in this, and after they're baked, they cool down slightly, and then we flip it over. So this topping literally becomes the topping. Let me just get this out. So there we go. And now a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla into each dish. If you go a little over on the vanilla, don't sweat it. It's not a big deal. Just like I did there. Okay. So now let's give this a little mix. Don't do as I show you. Obviously with the whisk that does not work. So let's just go get a tablespoon. Actually, you know what? I think a fork would work better. Yeah, so let's just get this all incorporated with a fork. So this will become, let me just get this one out of the way. We'll concentrate on this one for now. So just get it all incorporated. Make sure your margarine is broken up. That's probably why they used margarine, because it will break up easier than butter. Alright, so there we go. That's all done. So now we're going to smooth this. Now I will take my tablespoon. I'll do the other one after. You don't need to see me doing both. So let's smooth this out. And then over this now, you're going to sprinkle lightly some nuts. So like I said, I am using pecans, just lightly because they will be going as well into the, I feel like I'm talking like Captain Kirk. I keep breaking up. Okay, there we go. Because you're going to be putting, here, I'm a little anal, I see some empty spots. Because we're going to put some nuts into the rest once we roll it out as well. So do this for both pie plates, and then set them aside. We're going to now wait for the dough to rise for its 1 hour. And as soon as that's done, I'll come back and we shall continue. All right, here we go. So it's been an hour. Let me just make some room here. So what we're going to do now, you're going to take this out of the bowl. But before we do that, let's just sprinkle just a bit of flour. Just to help us with the rolling. Get a rolling pin. So let's put this dough out on the counter. And you're going to want to roll this into about a 9 by 15, 9 inches by 15 inches rectangle. All right. Oh, this dough is such a nice dough. It just rolls so easily. So let's just get this into a 9 by 15. In the meantime, get yourself, well, not in the meantime, you can't be rolling and getting something at the same time, but you will be needing some margarine again, and you will need some brown sugar, you will need cinnamon, you will need nuts, and raisins, if you like raisins. I like the addition of raisins in this. Germans seem to like raisins in their baking. Often in an apple strudel you'll find raisins. Okay, so let me just see quick if I have a measuring tape nearby. I think I should. Yep. So this is way more than 15, so that's 18 by 12. But you know, from my experience, this is a good size. So I am going to veer from the recipe because this is the size I normally do it. So do it like I'm doing it. So 18 by 12. Okay, that works better. So get yourselves, actually this is probably easier just with your fingers, so I'm going to use my fingers. So typically I just go by sight, but if you want the measurement, it says 1/4 cup of margarine. So just take your fingers. I mean, I just do it by eye, as long as the entire surface is covered. But look how nice this dough is to work with. It's not shrinking on me, it's not breaking, it's not moving all over the place. This really is a great dough. So just get the margarine all over. There we go. So, there we go. I'm just going to rinse my hands really quick, just so I can get all that margarine off. All right, so the next thing you're going to need is the brown sugar. So again, I go by sight, but if you want the measurement calls for 3/4 cup of brown sugar. So I'm going to say that's 1/4. You're just going for a nice even layer. So there we go. That's the brown sugar done. I'm just going to pull that out so that it stays a rectangle. So that way when we roll it, it's even. So now you're going to want, there's a hard piece of brown sugar. I just see a little bit missing here. So now for the cinnamon, I just again do a sprinkling over the whole top. But if you want the measurement, it's 2 tablespoons. So I just take my bag that I have it in and I just sprinkle it over the top. Make sure you get to the edges. All right, now you're going to sprinkle with some nuts. I'm going to use the rest of my pecans. You don't want to overdo it with the nuts. There's supposed to be an accent as opposed to, no, it's not a nut roll, right? You just want to maybe get, a nut or two here and there in a bite full. You get one more right there. And now some raisins. This is up to you. If you don't like raisins, don't do it. I'm not crazy about raisins, but I do like what it imparts to these, so I just do this very sparsely. I'm using golden sultana raisins. I find they're a little softer, a little juicier, if you will, even though it's a dried fruit. But I don't want too many of them. Again, just so that if I roll it up, here and there, you're going to get a bite of raisin. So there, that's it really. So now, we're going to roll this up the long way. And by the long way, I should have rolled it out the other way on the counter. I wasn't thinking ahead. So we're just going to fold this in. And you want to keep your roll fairly tight. Just keep rolling nice and evenly. Keep going. There we go. So now we've got our roll. I'm just going to push it together a bit, so that the ends are also nice and full. Let me give you another measurement to see how we ended up. So we are at about 13 inches. So let's just push that together a bit more. Just make it so that it's a uniform thickness. All right, so that's 13 inches. So now, we're going to cut this. I'm going to use a bench scraper. So you want to go in half. Shall we do this really exact? So 7.5 for me will be half. Okay, so can you see? That's going to rise again, and that's how you get your cinnamon bun, right? So let me just get my pie plate. So here's that pie plate that's been sitting there and cooling. Well, not cooling, it was cold anyway. It's just been waiting. So let me see, I think I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Normally I get 6 slices. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. So there's one roll. It's about an inch thick, maybe slightly more than an inch. So we're going to do that for the whole roll. One goes in the center, and the others just go around the outside. As Eminem would say, get it? Around the outside. Okay. And the last one. So that worked out just fine. So that's just going to sit there. We're going to cover it. And we're going to let this rise now until they more or less fill the pie plate. So I'm going, because I don't have the amount of time in my recipe, let me just get my other pie plate. I'm just going to fill it with my other roll. I will time it out so that I can tell you guys exactly how long it took for the second rise. So let's just fill this one up. And then you're going to cover them, both pie plates again. And then you will put them again in that same warm place where you had them the first time for the first rise. All right, so there we go. I'm going to cover these. I've got my 2 plates. I'm going to cover them, and once they've risen enough, I will come back and I will tell you how long it took. After that, they're going to go into the oven. All right, so just to show you before they head into the oven, so I've let the second rise go for another hour. All right, so these 2 pie plates have been rising for 1 more hour. Now they're going to go into the oven. The oven is set at 350 degrees. They're going to bake at 350 for 15 minutes. And then you turn the oven down to 300 and bake them another 15 to 20 minutes. I'll let you know exactly how long mine ended up staying in, but keep in mind that oven times will vary, depending on your oven. So these are going in. My oven's preheated at 350. Again, 350. Yeah, there you hear it. It's preheated. 350 for 15, and then 300 for 15 to 20 minutes. All right, be back when it's done. All right, they're done baking. And in my oven, they took exactly 20 minutes, just like the recipe calls for. So I'm going to pull them out. So there's one. So you can see how they expanded to fill the dish. Be very careful handling this because the sugar that was in the bottom turns into a caramel. And caramel is really, really hot. If you get caramel on your skin, either have a cup of cold water nearby just in case, or right away put your skin where it was touched under some cold running water. So now, incidentally, as soon as you pull them out, set yourself a timer for 3 minutes, because after 3 minutes, these have to be inverted. While you're waiting for them to cool down for those 3 minutes, I've only got 45 seconds left, get yourself some plates that will work with the circumference. This one is just going to work, so I think that's too small. So I've got 2 other ones prepared, and I don't want to turn these out over my freshly cleaned stovetop. So I'm going to get myself my wooden cutting board, and I'm going to put that here so that I can turn them out over the board, so that if I have any caramel spilling, it's not going to get on my counter. So there was my timer. Let me just turn that off. And let's flip these over. So here's the pie plate. Get yourself a serving plate that's bigger than your pie plate. Make sure you're wearing gloves. That's not so easy. And flip. Oh, does that look good or what? I'm going to put those in the sink. I'm going to get my other one. Here's the pie plate. I'm going to be using this plate to flip these out over. Just do a quick flip. Again, there we go. I have a little bit of nuts left in this one. I'm just going to take those out, put those over the top. I don't even want to touch this nut because the caramel is so hot at this point. Let's put another one there and another one there. So if you wait too much longer than those 3 minutes, they most likely will not pop out. Pardon the noise, I'm just running my water so that my caramel doesn't harden too much in my bowls. So there you go, there's the cinnamon buns. I mean, obviously you cannot eat them this hot. I will take one out. I'll break one off later. I'll just let these cool down. They probably have to cool a good 20 to 30 minutes. And then we'll pull one off and we'll cut into it so you can get an idea of the consistency. And yeah, but you know, while I've got you here, go ahead and like this video. Please subscribe to my channel. It, you know, will hopefully one day enable me to keep giving you guys some content. And so if you click on the little bell on your screen, that's for notifications. So when I put up a new video, you'll get a notification that I've done so. And yeah, so let's let these cool down. The smell in here is amazing. And as soon as that's done, I'll come back really quick. We'll slice into one. I'll get to eat it. You won't, but you'll get to make some for yourself and your family. And yeah, so I'll be back shortly. All right, guys, so they've cooled down a bit. Let's just break one of these puppies off. There we go. Put that over here. Hopefully you can see that. Wonder why. There must be, oh, is there a way to focus on these? Actually, I don't think so, but let's get the brightness up. There we go. Sorry about that. So let's just cut into this. Normally, this is not how I would eat it. I just love to work my way around the outside. So there you go. I'm gonna pick this up. It's such a soft dough. It's so moist. And with all the caramel that's run up and now down into it, and the cinnamon and the nuts and just a few raisins, this is such a good recipe, guys. You've really got to give this a try, and it's not that hard. Even though you're working with yeast, as you saw, it's quite easy. So please give this video a like. Like I said before, let's put this guy back together. Give this recipe a try. Let me know in the comments below if you do. I'd love to hear if it worked out for you. And let me just get this back. And like, you know, this one recipe made, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12. So there you go. Give this a try. Like the video. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell, and have yourselves a great day.